I have an issue with it, I must be the problem because the system has been around for so long. So they say, well, since you're the problem, why don't you mold yourself to fit what we believe in? And that's kind of when I started to rebel a little bit. And that's when I was like, well, no.
Hello, everyone. We have a highly anticipated interview on the way for you guys. Let me first start by introducing myself. My name is Mark Amos, and I am a social media marketing consultant. That's the role I play in this duo right here today. And today, we're here with the beautiful and amazing, astounding Michelle Garabito. Okay, she's a single lady entrepreneur who works in the network marketing industry and has managed to have a lot of success in that industry. However, recently, she has decided to take a step out on her own. Not necessarily utilizing mentors in the traditional business space of network marketing.
Right.
More, paving a way for the new age of marketers in the internet space, in the social media space.
Yep.
And that's definitely how we connected and why we decided to conduct this interview, because you have a very interesting story, Michelle. As a single lady entrepreneur in the industry, you've been through a whole lot of stuff. All right, that's not the right word I want to use, but that's the word I am going to use. You've been through a whole lot of stuff,
Right.
And I feel like it's important for single women to hear this story. So, who are you, Michelle? Who is Michelle Garabito?
So my name is Michelle Garabito. I am 28 years old. So I'm originally from the Bronx, but I live in Jersey now. My family came from the Dominican Republic. My mom came when she was 19. She had me when she was 23 years old. And my mom is really special mainly because she gave up her dreams, her goals, and everything to basically take care of me. She didn't want anybody else to take care of me. You know, growing up, we didn't have much. When you come from a third world country to America with no guidance, no opportunities, you immediately just fall into poverty. And that's what happened to my family. I grew up on welfare, Section 8, food stamps, you name it. That's basically how we grew up. But thankfully, because I saw my mom work hard on the side of us taking advantage of the government assistance that we were taking advantage of, she always had like her little side hustles, you know? So she always like picked up kids from school and kept the kids in our house for like until 6 o'clock, and would charge people like $30 per kid. So we would have 15 kids in the house. So we never had like alone time. But think about it, $30 a kid, 15 kids back then. You know, my mom was an entrepreneur and she taught us, you know, hard work. And because of that, even though we were poor, she always saved enough money to like take us to Disney World and things like that. So my biggest dream, though, growing up was just to get my family out of poverty. That was always my goal. I grew up watching things like MTV Cribs and Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
I remember MTV
right?
Cribs,
And then like My Super Sweet 16.
I remember that too.
Yeah, and I don't know if you ever felt this way, but like I would watch these TV shows and I'm like, why them and why not us? So you know, they tell us, go to school, get a good education, get a good job. And that's what I did. But something inside of me told me there was so much more to life than just that. You know, I was created on this earth to be so much more than just that. So I would watch these TV shows and I'm like, what can I do to get my family out of poverty? That was always my mindset. So I gravitated towards music. And around the time where I gravitated towards music, my mom got really ill and she got diagnosed with epileptic seizures.
Wow.
Yeah. So I gravitated towards music mainly because I wanted to use my pain to write music and learn instruments. And I'm like, this is it. Like, I'm going to be the next Beyonce and I'm going to make money and my family's going to get out of poverty. That was my thing. But I went to an all-girls private school and they were just like, don't even think about music. Every time people were like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I was like, I want to be a musician. I want to be an actress. I want to like travel the world. They were like, no, like, what's your major? And I'm like, they don't have a major for that? Like, you know? And then around that time, when I was like a senior in high school, I reconnected with a really great friend of mine. Her little sister was my best friend. But I always looked up to the older sister. And she was always like my inspiration. And I knew that if I can be really close to her, I'll be successful as well. She actually reached out to me on Facebook. And she was like that she went to a network marketing meeting in college. And she thought that I would be a great fit for the network marketing industry. And she was not lying. You know, I was always a networker,
Mhm.
especially in middle school and high school. And then I was also always great at marketing.
Mhm.
So that's basically around the time where I got introduced to network marketing.
So let's unpack your
Mm.
experience when you got introduced to network marketing.
Mm.
Talk to me about how quickly you adapted to the environment
Mm.
and how your work ethic shone in that environment.
Yeah.
And it shone to a point where it kind of like
Oh,
started
yeah.
to harbor some kind of
Yeah.
things that you don't necessarily want.
Right.
But yeah, talk to me about that.
So I got started when I was 17. I was a single girl. And I was introduced to the network marketing industry in an environment that it was a lot of older people, couples. So when they saw, a young girl like me, everybody was like, she's not going to do it.
Yeah.
But one of my other mentors, I just saw all the success that they had. He was able to have his wife retire when she was 28. And I was like, I was 17. If it takes me 10 years and I don't have to work a job, like I'm going to follow this couple till the ends of the earth.
Right.
So when I got started, I grew pretty quickly. 3 or 4 months later, I went to a big convention. I'm sure you've been to a lot of the network marketing conventions. And that really inspired me to a point where I was like, I'm going to get this thing done. And it took me 1 year to hit one of the highest ranks in the network marketing space in that specific company. And I was 18 years old.
So you were 18 when you hit this rank?
I was 18. I was single. I dropped out of college. I was like, I'm going to pursue network marketing fully. And it took me a couple months, 11 months to finally hit the first rank. I kept going, hit another rank by the time I was 19. My monthly income was like $2,000 to $3,000. Started taking care of my mom. I mean, think about it. I was 19 years old living with my parents and I was making $2,000 in my own network marketing business. And this is like 2011. Now it's like, everybody does that. It's like everybody does these things, but like,
come a far way.
Yeah, people never really understood how. And it's funny because a lot of my marketing came from social media. A lot of my network came from social media.
You told me a really funny story about how you went on Facebook and messaged like how many people?
Oh my God, I messaged like 100 and something people. I went from A through Z and messaged all my friends, basically telling them like, do you want to make extra money? Do you want to be part of my network? And from that, I have about 7 people in my network who make one of the highest ranks in the network marketing company.
Wow.
And that came from social media. And at the time, nobody was doing social media. They actually told me, don't do social media.
I remember.
Don't text. You remember that? And then I was like, fuck you guys. Like, I'm going to do what makes sense. Because they told me, oh, no, you have to meet people in person. My self-image as a 19-year-old single woman was not going to be like, hey, I have a business. So I always put the kind of like the pressure on my mentors. Like, hey, I'm working with these people. They're helping me become financially successful. Let me hook you up with these people. That was kind of like my tactic back then on Facebook and social media.
A tactic used quite a lot now.
Oh, yeah. As I started to grow, I guess that's kind of where a lot of the side eye came. Another big thing that I dealt with was that I was single and I wasn't looking to get married.
Right.
I also didn't marry into a business. So that was always something that was enforced, like, hey, don't be proud of being a single woman in this environment. It's not something that's successful. It's not something that withstands.
Because to me, it's like if 2 people actually do like fall for each other, and it's a genuine
that's
connection.
Cool.
That's great,
right?
It gets blurry though when you're literally kind of auctioned off.
Yes, that happens a lot in network marketing.
Did you experience a lot of that?
Oh yeah, I experienced that in my own network. Where it's like, oh, this guy is a big rank. This girl is struggling. Let's put them together. Now she's a big rank with this guy.
Wow.
So now she has to increase her self-image somehow to be able to, basically manage and like grow this network that she did not build herself. And that was a big issue for me because I actually built my network myself. You know what I mean? So I never really felt like I needed a spouse to validate that I was going to be successful in the network marketing space. I already proved myself enough But I think people just never really fathom that it will sustain or last because they just never saw a single woman build a successful network marketing company. I was kind of like the first in that environment.
Did you
So
speak out against that?
I did.
Yeah?
I did.
What was the feedback that you got?
They basically told me that this system has been around for 40 plus years, and if it's not broke, don't fix it. And if I have an issue with it, I must be the problem because the system has been around for so long. So they say, well, since you're the problem, why don't you mold yourself to fit what we believe in? And that's kind of when I started to rebel a little bit. And that's when I was like, well, no. So I started to speak out on the power of self-love, the power of feminism.
Right.
I started to speak out on the power of women having their own income, not depending on a man, because that's something that happened to my family. Is like I saw my mom be so afraid of leaving my dad because she didn't have her own money. It's like it wasn't enough to be able to sustain. So that's kind of like where my fear came from. I was like, I don't want to be like my mom. Like I want to have my own wealth and my own legacy and my own empire. And I felt like in the network marketing space, there was, it was possible. There was no ceiling. People talk about breaking glass ceilings. In network marketing, there's no ceilings. And as a woman, as a single woman, I really felt like that was something that I can really own.
Share with me some of the results that you were creating that caused the basically the spotlight to be shone
I
on
got
you.
a lot of spotlight.
Yeah. We were in the same company and everything, and when Facebook messaging actually became a thing was because of your results.
Yeah.
And it echoed throughout the entire business team about you and the results that you were getting.
Right.
So share those results and then the spotlight.
Oh my gosh.
That was shone on you during that time.
So, I mean, think about it, from 17 till I want to say about 26.
Right.
I was constantly on stages in front of 20,000, 30,000, 1,000, 500 people, anywhere from weekly to every 3 months. After a while, this is why I just want to be home. I just don't want nobody to see me. But the results started to come my first year when I hit one of the highest ranks. Then when I was 19 and I hit another rank where I was making $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Then it happened again when I hit one of the biggest ranks where I started getting bonuses like $20,000, $15,000 bonuses on a yearly basis on top of my monthly income. They were sending me on free trips. I've been to Vegas, Disney World, with a lot of success that came with it, not only making the monthly income, but purchasing my first car, paying off my student loans, giving my mom $3,000 cash and recording it and putting it on our platform. I had people ask me to speak all over the world. So at 19, 20 years old, I'm flying to Chicago, I'm flying to California, I'm flying here, I'm flying there. And they're asking me just to speak, to talk about what I'm doing. And it mostly came from that. So another big result not only came from monthly income and material wealth, it also came kind of like being one of the first, being the first single woman to achieve this rank, being the first single woman to create the whole Facebook thing and then have her own meeting. We used to plug into a different meeting of a different organization. And then we got so big, I'm talking 600, 700 people weekly, that we ended up starting our own meeting in 2012. And that was unheard of, and it was right across the street from Madison Square Garden. So everybody can come, so many different things, actually coming out on podcasts where people paid a lot of money to hear these podcasts, and it was the first time that a single woman was getting brought up on stage with one of the highest rankers in the network marketing space. So that's kind of where it all happened for me.
And then, as you said, the pressure started to mount.
Oh my God. Yes.
Given that you are in this spotlight, you are essentially the face.
Yeah.
The young face of the organization. And as such, you have to fit the mold of what the organization believes success to be and what it represents, right? Which is, unfortunately, it's sad for me to say this, not a single lady entrepreneur who's actually creating results on her own volition or through her own work ethic and through her own actions. It's more of like, hey, it has to be the couple, and usually from my experience and seeing how it works on stage, guy takes the lead,
Yeah. Oh God.
and the woman, very few I can remember where the woman was just as commanding of the stage as the guy in the relationship.
Yeah.
So you started to speak out.
I started to speak out.
What happened?
So I started to speak out. First, I started to speak out when I actually was put on a weekly speaking schedule. So when I actually had the opportunity, which was another really big thing, was I was the first single woman to actually show the marketing plan at our hotel meetings or like different meetings around the world. So my training started to be about like single women can build a huge network marketing business. You don't need a man to grow a successful network marketing business. You don't even need to be married to grow a successful network marketing business. As a woman, you should have your own money. You should have your own finances. You should have your own wealth. And next thing I knew, they took me off the speaking schedule.
Wow.
Yeah.
No warning.
Oh no, no warning. No, they never sat down with me and told me like, hey, we're gonna take you off. It was like they just took me off completely. I'm sure you experienced this, that they never sat down and had a adult conversation to tell you like maybe something that you're saying is out of whack or whatever. They would do it through their own trainings. Like, so other big rankers will go on stage and be like, if you're single, I wouldn't be proud if you are single. If you're in your mid-20s and you're not married, I would start, writing down what you're looking for in a person and start asking God.
It's interesting that they do these
I don't
things.
even know why they do that.
Because it's like they're talking to you directly, but it's not necessarily a conversation where you're trying to come to a solution or try to actually understand each other. It's more of like they're talking at you. Like, or like warning you, like, we see you. Stop doing what you're doing or else. You get that? That's the vibe I got.
I definitely got that vibe too. And it was very indirect. And because of the lack of self-esteem and lack of self-image that a lot of people in that space had, any little thing that they talk at you, you think that it's a problem to you.
Yeah.
So but there came a point where I felt like everything was directed to me because I was one of the first people that actually spoke out. They started telling people in my network not to sit next to me, unfollow me on social media, don't talk to her anymore. She's not growing. She's not doing this, things like that.
Wow.
So yeah, it was without warning. And when I started to speak out and I started to talk about it, they were like, no, something is wrong with you. But it came to a point, Mark, especially when I really started to dig deep within myself and started to really grow myself. It came to a point where like my business did go into a halt. So if you want to transition to like when things started to kind of like dwindle down.
You had a down period.
Oh yeah, I had a down period. Yeah.
How long was that down period?
That down period was about 2 years. 2 years.
And I know during that time, you shared this with me.
Yeah.
You a lot happened to you.
Oh, yeah.
You went into depression.
Yeah.
You gained a lot of weight.
Yeah.
You wanna go into that?
Yeah. So imagine I went from like this big star traveling and growing my business to it going into a halt because I was pressured to hit a different rank that my business wasn't ready for.
Right.
So when I kind of put a halt to it, like I'm not going to do that right now, that's when they took me off the speaking schedule. That's when they started to tell people, don't talk to her. She's no longer the star. So it was like a blessing in disguise because the spotlight got out of my face, which gave me a lot of time in the dark for me to really dig deep within myself to see how can I be better.
Yeah.
It got to a point where my mom was so worried about me. She actually called one of my mentors and like cursed her out because she's like, what is wrong with my daughter? What is going on? Because I thought that I was failing and I thought that maybe I do need to get married to be successful. This is why my business is falling apart. That's what they put in your head. So I started to date the wrong people to see if I can grow my network marketing business with a spouse so that way I can get out of the dark and I can get out of that.
And what we always say about these type of things.
Toxic. It was so toxic. I mean, I'm sure you're not like this, but a lot of guys with a lack of self-awareness and lack of self-love, when they see a nice girl with money, she has a lot of fame and success and all these things, they take advantage of you. So I got taken advantage of financially, physically, emotionally, all that stuff. And it wasn't until a year of depression that I was like, you know what? Like, enough is enough. I'm going to dig myself out of this hole and I'm going to really focus on myself. So I stopped too much of the intensity of the external growth in my business and started to put that same work ethic in my internal growth, while simultaneously also growing my business with a different strategy. So it was like a transition from internal growth that eventually I knew was going to come externally. The first thing that I did is I started to rekindle my relationship with God. One of the biggest problems with pretty much anybody in network marketing is that they see their mentors or these high ranks as kind of like their gods or their idols.
But I mean, they do a good job.
They do a great job
of putting them in that position.
Yeah, they do.
You know?
And especially because if you're somebody like me who desperately wanted to get their family out of poverty, you know, if you find somebody who's is willing to help you, you want to be their best student. So that's what happened to me.
I think where the disconnect comes is when the people who are put on such a high pedestal, they're not necessarily the most sincere, and they don't actually care about your success. Because I've seen cases where people actually do care about their people's success, and I see cases where it's being abused.
Yeah, I feel like it's funny because I think the people that haven't grown in network marketing in a long time are the people that are genuine. And the people that have to keep up with an image in network marketing, and they're people that have to like put aside their character and do shady stuff to uphold the image. And the reason why I can say that with confidence is because I did that. I did that when I was 19, 20 years old. You know, I did shady stuff to uphold this image. I cannot get out of the spotlight. I need to be an inspiration to single women. I have to maintain this image. And my whole life, my self-image was falling apart, but I had to keep it going. So that's the sad part about it. But going back to that journey of like kind of like that downfall and picking myself up was it started with my relationship with God. So instead of worshiping my mentors and these high ranks in network marketing, I started to put God in the center of everything that I did. So I started to change my mindset to God is the foundation of my life. He's the one that created me. So obviously he knows the plans that he has for me. So I'm just going to follow his plans because clearly my plans are not working very well, you know? So that was the first thing that I did. I started to really start reading and actually know how to win friends and influence people instead of like just getting to know somebody just so I could sign you up in my business. You know what I mean?
Major difference.
So major difference. So I started rereading a lot of these people skills books with a different mindset of actually genuinely like loving and falling in love with people and having conversation like this where I could look at you in the eye or not think about like, okay, when is he going to sign up in my network marketing business? Because I'm trying to hit these ranks by the end of this month, you know?
I had that problem too.
Yeah, I had it. It's not nice.
No.
It's not good. So I reread all these books that I read when I was in high school again to kind of get ready for this new shift. So it started with a lot of personal growth, a lot of God in my life. And then it transitioned to physical growth. So I went on a fitness journey. That changed my life completely because when I started to kind of prove myself and basically prove to myself what I'm capable of, I lost 80 pounds in a year.
Wow.
And that revolutionized everything and increased my confidence, gave me self-awareness of understanding like what I'm capable of doing. And I started to see things in a different light. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at start to change. And that's what happened to me. I felt like I was an alien. I feel like, so imagine this whole new person, 80 pounds lighter, a lot more self-aware, self-loved, and now put me in the same environment of people that are not growing in the same space. We were in two different vibrations, but I was a crazy one.
Of course.
Yeah, I was so crazy.
Sorry, talk about your reintroduction into the system after you did all that self-work. Was it easy for you to get back into that mode of work ethic that you used to have before? Or, you know, because you're seeing things differently now, was it a challenge for you to continue the same practices that you were told to do? Because now you're in a different space now, you're like, no, but this is like not necessarily the morally right. and what was the backlash, if any, you got from that?
Right.
Talk about that.
Yeah. So it's funny because God is so funny because simultaneously while I was growing myself, the way that we were building business was changing as well.
Right.
So instead of like see a presentation, sign up in my team, they changed it to what they called the process, where it was like a couple of weeks of educating you, building that friendship and trust, and then having you very aware as to what you're getting yourself into, and then registering. So while I was growing myself, I was also studying this new strategy, this new way. But it got to a point, again, because of how I was changing, is that I actually mastered the way that it was supposed to be built, while people in that environment try to shortcut the shortcut.
Right.
You know, so I did get a lot of backlash because, as you know, when you start building your business with a new strategy, your business slows down a little bit. So my business definitely slowed down, and I started to behave the way that my business actually was instead of the image that people thought that I was. So instead of me thinking that I was a star, I actually thought that I was at this specific rank, which was like, I wanted to sit in the back. I just wanted to be a student. Nobody talk to me. Don't take pictures of me. They actually took advantage of that and said, well, she's not a star, so take her off the schedule. Nobody talk to her. Nobody sit next to her. Nobody work with her. So it gave me that time to really start understanding myself and the way that I wanted to build my business. And that was the beginning of where we are today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me though, like you learned the system.
I did.
You learned this new way of how they're doing everything.
Yeah.
And then did you get to that point of implementation?
Yeah, I implemented it for about 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, from 2018 up until COVID. That's the new word, when COVID hit. So up until when COVID hit. So I implemented it. Was still in an education system, ended up transitioning to a different like association.
Right.
Learned even more, got even more information, implemented it to the point where it was like I was like a master at it. I was launching partners, I was getting clients, and then COVID hit. COVID hit. When COVID hit was that I was trying to build my business during COVID and this new normal and this new information age, the way that I built my business in 2010, which was mass messaging on Facebook. And it was not working. It was not working. And I was like, but how? Like, this is how I built my business. Why is it not working today? And I kept trying and I kept trying and I kept trying. The funny thing is that nobody really had answers. I would talk to my mentors in the network marketing industry, and they were just like, just keep going. That's what they tell you. Just keep going. You know, everything is going to be great. They just don't know what was going on. The good thing is that around that time, we reconnected with a lot of high rankers in network marketing who decided to leave the education system. And they were educating us as to how this network marketing business is supposed to be built in this new normal. And that's when I started to do my own research. I started to book Zoom meetings with high rankers in the same network marketing company that I built a relationship with, that had their own brand and they had their own techniques of building their business in this new age. And I was shocked. They were using social media. They were using the internet. I was like, this is my life. This is my world. Why isn't nobody teaching me this? And around that time, that's where you and I connected.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you fast forwarded to COVID.
Yeah.
What made you make the decision to leave the education system for good and take the leap of faith?
Yeah.
In trusting that you have the necessary tenacity and also the necessary wherewithal to be able to figure this out using the internet. What made you make that final decision that, you know, this is a straw that broke the camel's back, I'm out?
So I think it happened during obviously COVID, when I was getting a lot more value out of free content than what I was getting from actual paid content that I was paying hundreds of dollars for on a monthly and every 3-month basis.
Right.
And I was getting a tremendous amount of value. And I started to realize and started to think like, man, like I could probably do a lot of these things that I've always wanted to do for free. And I'm paying for apps and education trainings hundreds of dollars, and the value.
My budget for that was around $450 to $500 a month on just educational stuff.
Education.
Yeah.
And how do you think the value was? Because I thought the content was terrible.
If I could choose negative, I would.
Damn. I was trying to be nice.
But I mean, the value, it's relative, right?
Yeah.
It's perspective, as you said.
Right, it's perspective.
Because the value of the information may be applicable in the 90s, but in 2020, the value is actually zero. And in 2020 and beyond, things will keep changing. But if you're in a position where you see that the people who are running the show aren't adapting to where we are right now, you're going to be stuck.
You're going to be stuck. Exactly. So I was learning a bunch of stuff for free on the internet while being quarantined in New Jersey. And then I'm listening to this education, this content that I'm paying $400 to $500 a month for. And I couldn't even listen to it. I would play 5 minutes of a podcast and I just turned it off.
Right.
I would watch, like they had like their own kind of YouTube thing, and I just turned it off. And I just felt like we were just on a different mindset. My last straw, though, was
the last straw.
This was the last straw for me, and this has been something that has been building up because I've reached out. I have email threads with the education system giving feedback as to how they can get better.
Right.
And I never got follow-ups. They would say, oh, we have to check with this guy. We have to check with that guy. And I'm like, you're talking to a girl that's using this app on a daily basis based on the processes that I was bringing, partners through. So I'm actively building the business. Wouldn't you want my feedback versus a ranker that's not building the business? He's living off the money that he's made in the 90s.
Right.
So I have email threads, I have phone calls, everything. My last straw was during quarantine, during COVID, 1.3 million people on unemployment, and they come out with a weekend convention and they charge $125 for it.
But how did they have the convention if it's in COVID?
Through Zoom.
So
they were having a convention through Zoom, $125. So if you and I were going, we each individually had to get a ticket. So now you're talking $250.
So you wouldn't be able to get a ticket and, probably invite some of your team members over to and
split the cost. That was my idea.
During these very, very tough times, a lot of people, like I said, 1.3 million people file for unemployment. A lot of people just don't have that money or that income coming in. Right. And that was still the way how they decided to do things.
Exactly. So
interesting.
We each had to buy a ticket, and I was like, I'm not going. I actually spent time with my mom, my dog, and my team members who also agreed that was ridiculous.
So as you mentioned, team members, this is something I forgot to ask you about. So since it is that you're no longer a part of the the system or whatever, I mean, you're still doing network marketing, just that you're leveraging your own knowledge right now. Right. What happened to all the people that were in your team?
That's a good question.
Are all of them like on the same page with what's going on there?
So a lot of the higher rankers in my team decided to kind of keep it old school and stay with basically the people that introduced me to network marketing. So there's hundreds, I want to say maybe 400, 500, maybe 600 people that decided to kind of stay back and was like, you're crazy, you go ahead. But what's so great about network marketing is I still collect the checks every month, so it's fine. I mean, that is my work. You can take the credit, I'll take the cash. It's totally fine. But outside of that, I had a lot of people, like partners that were not high rankers. They were still kind of trying to figure this out, still trying to grow. And I basically opened up to them because they were not kind of like sucked into the poison. They were not sipping the Kool-Aid. And I was just very open and honest with them as to how I was feeling with being in that environment. Ended up being they were feeling the same way. And they were just so afraid to tell me because of that stigma, like, don't question your mentor,
Yeah.
don't question the system.
Mhm.
But when I opened up to them, it was like a sign of relief, and they were all in tears and crying. And it was like 6 of us. It wasn't many. It was 6 of us that just decided, and they said, if you're leaving, we're leaving too. All of them have their own brands. They're all spending time with their families. They're all making money. One of them is debt free. The other put in her resignation after being in corporate America for 10 years. And they're all just so happy and very grateful and just living their best life. And they were very happy that I was open and honest and told them like how I was feeling, because I ended up being, they were the same way. But I'm a woman of solutions, and I told them like, we're gonna have a solution for this. We're still gonna grow network marketing. We're gonna grow our brands, and we're still gonna be successful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So you basically decided that you're gonna step away from a team of over 500 people.
Yeah.
Start from scratch again.
Yeah.
So you're literally 18 again,
Yes.
building your business for the first time.
10 years later.
10 years later.
Yeah.
What's that been like for you so far?
Oh my gosh. If I could say a dream, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do feel like I'm that 18-year-old girl again, who is just so excited about the opportunity to get my family out of poverty, to be successful. Like the dream is didn't die. It never did die. And although I have accomplished a lot in my life, I was able to get out of the hood and the Bronx and live in you've been to my house? Yeah, I've been to a really nice area. My mom is taken care of. So I was able to accomplish a lot of great things. But now I'm kind of like in the second phase of my life, where now it's time to really accomplish all the plans that God has for me. You know, I already accomplished my plans. Now it's time to accomplish God's plans. And it's been awesome. You know, I think it's been very freeing. That's the word that I always say. It's been a level of freedom that has been so incredible. Because of the shift in mindset, because of just like thinking for myself, and a lot of the information that I was able to get on my own. I was able to get out of debt. I think it was like in May.
Yeah, recently.
Yeah, it was recently. And then I resigned from my 9-to-5 job in the beginning of June. I have 7 streams of income now. Before it was just one, which was my network marketing company, because again, they tell you focus on this one thing. But I used my skills of networking and creating income, and you know, just starting different things. And I was able to create multiple streams of income, teach other people how to create multiple streams of income, be part owner and co-owner of multiple companies. And now I'm just so free to actually be me, use my creativity, my happiness, my superpower of connecting with people, loving people, marketing. My superpower is also just learning a skill, mastering and being the best at it, and then teaching other people how to do the same thing. And it's been so freeing, you know, being little things like going to the beach with my team without having to get a call from my mentor saying that that was not okay. Doing things like that. Having money in the bank. I know that sounds crazy, but like when all this educational tools cost you so much money, it's like, it's crazy. So having money in the bank, having an emergency fund, being able to book a flight to go see friends in the South, like little things like that is just what's so freeing about everything.
Do you believe, with the way how the internet is right now, that we need to promote to network marketers that they have to attend this meeting every week?
Oh God, no.
That they have to go to this conference every 2-3 months, that they have to have a call every single day,
Oh God.
that they have to do all these different things in order to be able to actually to create some level of momentum in their business. Do you believe in all of that stuff?
I don't.
No?
Maybe 10 years ago I would have. And I'm getting hot thinking about the weekly meetings. But I think people just have to think for themselves. It's like, okay, if I teach you a skill, if it could take you a month, 2 months, if I teach you a skill, you should be able to go ahead and run with it. What's the point with the weekly meeting? But I don't think, with the way that network marketing is built right now, I think people should have the freedom to choose when they need information and go ahead and take advantage of it, instead of like you telling them, no, you have to be at this meeting every week, you have to be at these conferences every 3 months. It's like, no, I think people should decide when they should do that.
I think it's a change in times. I feel like back in the industrial age, where you have most of the baby boomers, you had to tell them what to do. You know, in order for you to actually get some level of productivity from them. I think today, in this day and age, you know, once you've been born in the 80s, you know, you're part of this new age.
Yeah.
You know, you've seen the transition, and I feel like everyone today, once given the opportunity to show that they can shine,
Right.
you don't necessarily have to like be
Yeah.
like, no, you gotta come every week. You know,
No.
we gotta be best friends.
No, I don't want to be best friends with nobody. I have my best friends and that's it.
Yeah. And I think it's a struggle for most of the older generation people
Right.
to come to terms with
Yeah.
that.
And I think it's also fear.
Mm.
Fear that they won't grow in the network marketing business because they feel like you have to gobble down all this information weekly, monthly, every 3 months for them to grow. But I did a poll recently on my Instagram story, and a lot of my audience and a lot of my followers are in network marketing. And 90% of them said, with the weekly meetings, with the conferences every 3 months, the weekly subscriptions, the monthly subscriptions, they don't know how to build a network marketing business. So what's the point?
What do you think is absent from that? Why so many people still struggle? Because staggering statistic for me in the network marketing industry was how few people actually quote unquote make it.
Very few.
Even while I was in the industry, you know, I saw how people ranked up to these levels where they said you never have to worry about money again. And the way how they did it, I didn't necessarily think it was a very sustainable way, which is why, of course, you know, I decided to walk away last year. What do you think is the reason for that staggering statistics where it's like, I think 0.1, 0.2 something percent actually get to certain ranks? And why is there such a disconnect with people actually being able to make it work? Why do you think that is?
I think it has to do with ego from the higher ranks and them not wanting to spend the time to learn a new skill and teach it. It takes time.
It does.
It takes time, it takes patience, and again, it takes humility. Because even when I learned the process strategy, I had to humble myself and unlearn 8 years of how I built this successful business that gave me the spotlight, that gave me the money, that gave me the attention. So I had to put my ego to the side. Michelle Garabito, she's this, she's that. Put that to the side and like humble myself and be in my room and listen to these podcasts and study the material. And I don't think a lot of high rankers in the network marketing space are willing to humble themselves, actually learn the skill and teach them. If I also may add, a lot of them are also afraid of people like you and I, that if we actually learn exactly what it takes, we will overpower the higher ranks and create our own ranks and be the spotlight forever. I feel like it's a combination of ego, but also a combination of actually not knowing how to build a network marketing business in this time frame because they're still stuck with the old ways of building. So it's a combination of both.
I agree.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Share some excitement about some of the stuff that you're working on right now.
So let's see. So I'm wrapping up a TV series on my YouTube channel. And I'm still going to be on YouTube, just doing a lot of like lifestyle stuff. So we hit 100 subscribers a couple days ago. I'm part owner of an events company. So I basically run all the fitness events and I always pitch ideas on different events. Of course, I have my network marketing business that's growing. What's really exciting though is, of course, we're going to start a company where we are going to really focus on the single women in network marketing. We are going to teach them exactly what it takes to be able to have the proper skills to grow a successful network marketing business the way that it fits this new normal. So that way they can actually, live out the values that I always taught about with single women, have their own companies, have their own wealth, have their own dynasty. But they're going to do it in such an amazing, chill, and fun way. I mean, of course, I'm working with you, and you're my tech guy. You're like a lot of the behind the scenes. So why don't you share with them a little bit about like your side of things of how we're going to make this happen?
It's just equipping people with the knowledge so they can feel empowered, all right, especially like the single ladies.
Yeah.
to move out and take charge of their business. So with the internet, right?
Yeah.
And I had this mindset since last year when I really took the time, invested a lot in my education when it comes on to social media and marketing overall, that the internet makes things so much more easier. We were talking about the meetings and the constant need for, that education. The internet
we're gonna give
completely obliterates all of that.
Yep.
You have YouTube University, which is the largest growing university in the world, and I think the biggest university in the world.
Ooh, sorry, Harvard.
YouTube University that's basically creating .com millionaires. And the biggest thing that I realized last year is that once I learned very specific skill sets in growing business online, especially in the network marketing space, there's a lot of aspects of your business that can be automated and free up people to be able to do more of the things. I call them high performing skills, as apart from doing the low performing skills. All right. So what's the low performing skills? You cry about it all the time. All right, which is taking the time, talking on the phone with someone about something that really and truly a survey or a questionnaire on a funnel page could have fixed in no time. Right? That way you would have already learned about this person from the questionnaire and be able to have actually a very concise, brief conversation attacking very specific things that you can help that person with. So it's like you spoke about a shift in mindset, right? The biggest problem with the network marketers, though, is that they don't know where to go to get access to this information.
So we're going to give them that.
So basically, that's what we're going to do. We're going to create basically a membership site in the very near future that allows for network marketers to be equipped with every single thing that these big time marketers online are using to generate leads, to make sales online without batting an eye, without having to.
So they don't have to go to the malls anymore.
They don't have to go to the malls anymore.
They don't have to go door to door, contact their friends.
No, they don't have to go to door to door. They don't have to mass message on Facebook.
Wow.
So lucky. Because there are different aspects, and a lot of network marketers might see other network marketers telling them that they shouldn't do attraction marketing and all that. But I think every single skill set is necessary for the network marketers to know and learn. And then they can figure out how they can combine it to create a synergized system, right? Of course, we're going to also create something that allows for high-ranking network marketers, single women especially, to be able to have us create those systems for them. But in the meantime, we both want the women and network marketers overall to have these skill sets at their disposal. I feel like network marketers are just always behind the 8 ball.
They're so behind, and it's the best industry.
Exactly.
It is I am a firm believer of network marketing. It was the first company I started. It gave me all the skills. My sister just started the network marketing industry, and she's learning so much. It is the best industry. But now it's about teaching them exactly what it takes to be successful in the industry using this time.
And, because we are just like you guys, we're going to create it in a way where it's updated every single every 3 months. It will be updated because the internet is ever changing. And, we're going to set it up in a way where you won't have to break the bank.
No.
I'll tell you, I'll give you guys a hint. It costs less than what we used to have to pay every month in our business.
Oh, yeah.
All right. It's going to be lifetime access with updates. So it's going to be huge. It's going to change the face of the industry. We believe. And can't wait for it.
And it's actually going to show you what true freedom is about. That's what network marketing preaches, is like freedom. You can't have money freedom without time freedom. So we're going to show you how to have both, how to have money where you can work for yourself and live your best life, and time where you can actually go to a trip with your kids. If you're a single woman, you can go on your own, and your business is growing while you're surfing, while you're swimming, while you're dancing, while you're sleeping. That's a dream. That's a dream.
It is. Michelle, where can these single lady entrepreneurs find you? online?
So I'm mostly most active on Instagram. So you can follow me at Michelle Garabito, Facebook Michelle Garabito, and YouTube Michelle Garabito as well.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome.
Where can they find you, Mark?
They can find me. I'm mostly on Instagram. My name on Instagram is at Mark Famous Amos. For Facebook, YouTube, Mark Amos. My full name generally works. Awesome, Michelle.
Thank you so much for having me, Mark. I love you. Let's do it.
Let's do it. That's all right.